Hey everyone, welcome to the show. And we have some exciting news because Congress has apparently agreed upon a $900 billion stimulus bill, okay? They have the votes, they agreed this last night, and they are supposedly, fingers crossed, going to be voting on this today, okay? And it's not like in the past where, the House passed the HEROES Act and the Senate didn't want to take it up. They have actually apparently agreed on this. They have the votes and Trump apparently is willing to sign it, all right? So it should actually be happening this time. I know there's been a lot of false alarms, etc., which is why I haven't been reporting on this, but this seems like it is actually going to be definite, and it should be passing today or within the next few days. We'll talk about the timescale of it later. But it does include a second stimulus check in the bill, all right? It does include it. Apparently, the text of the bill is not out yet, but from what people have said of what it includes, it does include a second stimulus check. Let's first of all take a look at all of the other items as well that are in the bill, and then we'll come back to talking about exactly how much this stimulus check is for and, how to be eligible for it, etc. Okay, so the other items in the bill are an extra $300 a week of unemployment insurance. Okay, so that's half what was in the CARES Act, which was an extra $600 a week. And that's from January 1st for 11 weeks, okay, until March 14th. So an extra $300 a week unemployment insurance for people who are claiming unemployment, all right? Then the bill also allocates $284 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program, which is the very popular loan program for small businesses. These are forgivable loans. So if you use them to pay the salaries of your furloughed workers, I think most of it has to be used to pay salaries. You can actually get the loan forgiven, okay? You do not need to give it back. It's basically free money. My business actually got one of these loans, but our income actually rose. We were not doing so as badly as we thought, and we ended up giving it all back, okay? So we didn't actually take advantage of the forgivable side of it, okay? So we just gave it back. But for businesses that have really genuinely been hit by, the lockdowns and the pandemic and lost a lot of income, you can use it to pay people's salaries, and you can also use a portion of it for other things, and you can actually get the whole thing forgiven. Then within that 283 or something, 15 billion was for performing arts venues specifically, because see a lot of like Broadway and stuff, it's all shut down. It's not reopening until I think next year or something. So there are some, part of it's for performing arts venues, and there are a few other parts that are sort of ring fenced for other things. Then we have 83 billion for schools and colleges, I assume to help them, modify their surroundings, maybe installing plexiglass or buying protective equipment or whatever for operating in this unique period of time. Then there's also an extension on the moratorium on evictions. I'm not sure how long that is going to be for, but the current one runs out, I believe, at the end of the year. So that's going to be extended. So, you're going to be protected from being evicted if you haven't paid your rent, which, great for tenants, not so great for landlords, but hey, maybe they can get a Paycheck Protection Program loan, And then before we get into talking about the stimulus checks, there are two things that are not in the bill, which is quite interesting. I think this is how they reached the deal. And that is that Democrats initially wanted a load of aid for states and local governments, okay, just basically giving money, bailing out states. Republicans didn't want that, but the Republicans did want liability protections for businesses, schools, organizations. So if someone goes there and they get COVID, they can't sue, all right? So it looks like they just sort of exchanged these. The Republican ditched that demand for liability protections, and the Democrats ditched that demand for money for states and local governments, all right? Now, let's get into talking about the stimulus checks, okay? So these stimulus checks are gonna be for $600, okay? So not the $1,200 that you got last time, so it's half that amount, although for dependents, they will also get $600 as well. So last time it was $1,200 for adults and $600 for dependents, or was it $500? Can't quite remember, I'll put it on screen. But anyway, this time it's just $600 for adults or dependents. And again, it seems like they're having the same income thresholds, so up to $75,000 a year for single filers, up to $150,000 a year for joint filers to get the whole check, and then it starts tapering off and getting smaller and smaller as you get towards the maximum limit of $99,000 a year for single filers and $198,000 a year for joint filers. And then for dependents, a lot of people were hoping that adult dependents would be included in this. Actually, they're not. So apparently it's going to be the same as last time, unless it gets amended before it's passed. But apparently it's going to be the same as last time. Dependents 17 and older will not get their own check. So that kind of screws over kids in college and stuff who are still listed on their parents' tax returns. But yeah, apparently that's the case. Adult dependents will not get their own check, only dependents under 17. And then there's one change that I think will be interesting to some people, and that is if you are married to someone who's using an individual taxpayer identification number instead of a social security number, okay, you will still be eligible for a check. And this was a problem that they had last time where actually it disqualified both people, okay? So someone who's using an individual taxpayer identification number instead of an SSN, they could be doing that because they do not have a legal immigration status. That could be the reason. So basically anyone who was married to them, because they're married filing jointly, they would for some reason also be disqualified from getting a stimulus check, okay? I don't really know why they did this, but it apparently disqualified about 1.2 million Americans who would otherwise be eligible to get a stimulus check. So they're changing that this time. If you are married to someone who is not using an SSN to file taxes jointly with you, they're using an individual taxpayer identification number, that is not going to be a disqualifying factor for you this time, apparently, okay? We will have to have a look at the actual text when it comes out. Right now, we're just going off of what, you know, congressmen and people have said about what's in the bill. So we're going to actually have to have a look at it. Probably should be out later today. When's this going to be passed? Well, in theory, they want to vote on this today. The House will probably be a little bit quicker than the Senate. It has to go through committee in the House, and then it can go for a vote on the floor. That could happen today. The Senate, all 100 members have to agree to a vote on it, and then it can be voted on the floor. If that doesn't happen, Mitch McConnell will have to do it another way, but whatever. The Senate could just take a few days longer, but in theory, this could actually pass today and be signed by Trump today, and it's going to be tagged along with a spending bill as well, a $1.4 trillion spending bill. So you've got $900 billion in stimulus plus a $1.4 trillion stimulus bill to keep the government open. All right. Guys, I hope you found that interesting. If you are thinking what to do with your stimulus check, if you're one of the lucky ones who doesn't really need it, why not invest it in the stock market? Webull is still offering the 4 free stocks for setting up an account, which is awesome. All you have to do is deposit $100. Obviously, that's still your money. You're not giving them $100, but you get 4 free stocks for that. Some of them are valued up to $1,600. So I'll put the link for that below. Also, we now have a channel on Rumble, so we're going to be just duplicate uploading all our videos on Rumble as well. So if anyone's on Rumble, check me out. I'm just called The Credit Shifu on Rumble. I know this is my second channel, The Business Shifu, but on Rumble right now, we'll just have one channel, The Credit Shifu. So do check us out on there as well. And thanks so much for watching, guys. Please subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.